This is Cardinal Lawn Live. How's it going tonight? I got some scrambled eggs right here and everything tonight. And I am still in my work uniform because I'm not off the clock until 8:30. And as we speak, I just got home. I gave out 16 flyers. Hopefully I get some business because that'll solve everything. So business is business, man. And I got to do what I got to do to keep in mind. It don't matter what it is, what you do in lawn care or landscaping. But within that business, you got to do what you got to do. What's up, Taya Brienne? I'm in my work uniform tonight. I don't get off until 8:30. So here I am in my office. Went and gave out 16 flyers. And I got to make up some more so I can go out some more. And stuff like that. 16 flyers. I even hit up the neighborhood across the street from the non-gas station. Hopefully I get some business. Just got home just a little bit ago. And it won't surprise me if Jeff gets on here and talks about, oh, you ain't got no business. Oh, I hope you ain't got no business. Well, guess what? I'm a businessman. Just read my shirt and my hat. I don't even know where Chris is at. I can't get a hold of him. I don't know if he's driving home from work or whatever he's doing, but he surely ain't on here. And my buddy Joseph, he actually took me to give business cards. As we speak, he's on his way home. And here I am going live in a business uniform, eating. As Jeff would say, oh, that's nothing new to the channel. You're always eating. You're either eating or sleeping or lying. And what's another thing he would say? Oh, you got a bad case of diabetes. Nah. That dinner was good. Scrambled eggs and bacon. That there bacon was good. Delightful. But Cardinal Lawn Maintenance on the channel is still gonna be the name of this channel. I'm not changing it. But the business name is gonna stay the same, Cardinal Lawn Life. So I got two different businesses. I got this one, and I got the one that I actually do whenever I'm out and about doing work. And I'm keeping track with money. I write it down every time I make money. I go and I calculate it, and then I write it down. As of right now, in total, I got $8. That's all I got right now in saving. And you know, for a living, when there's nothing growing, there's certain things that you can actually, do, and there's different things that you can, cope with and work with. But when, as a business owner, which is me, you got it. There's things that you got to basically know. Even if you don't know those things, you got to do what you got to do and stuff like that. But you got to stay on top of these clients, because if you don't, they're not going to pay you. But if you stay on top of them, they'll pay you the same amount that they need to charge you or pay you when you're doing that yard. Now, in between the yards that I can do with a push mower, you can't push mow a big yard, even though I have done it, but I only got halfway through the yard. But that's besides the point. Okay, that's besides the point as of right now. What you want to look into is doing what you need to do. And what you need to do is focus on how much money you're making. Because otherwise, if you don't keep the business that you got, they could fire you. Or you could actually get fired from any other job, but you ain't going to get fired from this one. This job is the job that you got to stick with from now on. You cannot just go up to a yard and be like, "Oh, I'm going to do your yard, jerk." No, you don't need to call anybody a jerk. You want to be kind to one of another. "Oh, can I please do your yard?" Not, "Oh, get off my lawn, jerk. I don't want you doing my yard. I do my own yard." You don't want to do that. Okay, so you want to be you want to be kind to one of another. You don't want to be disrespectful. You want to show that customer respect. You don't want to go or you don't even want to go if they say your name. "Oh, hey, Joe," or "Hey, Jonathan," or "Hey, Cardinal, long life. Hey, can you do this for me?" You don't want to go wah, because that's not professional. All right. You want to be kind. That's the main thing. And you want to have eye contact. You don't want to go, "Hey, what are you doing?" Because they're not going to wonder who you're talking to. They're going to be like, "What in the world?" So you want to always have eye contact. You also don't want to just sit there. If somebody's talking to you or whatever, you don't want to be rude and be like it ain't nothing. So you want to be kind. You want to be talkative. That's the biggest thing. Even if they're talking to you, you want to have, listening ears on them. That's just the main thing. You don't even want to go on a job site and then somebody picking on you 24/7. Okay? You just don't want that done. So, top of the line, be respectful. That's the top. Don't be disrespectful. Also, use caution when it comes to using yard tools or whatever, because you don't want to get hurt. Been there, done that. That's the main thing there. There's different stuff that you want to do. If you get a customer, always answer your phone. Don't ignore the call. So, you're not. A few minutes ago, I went to my first house. I'm gonna give somebody a flyer, and they're like, "Well, what are you selling?" Because I said, "Can I walk up and give you something?" They're like, "Well, what are you selling?" I said, "I'm not selling anything, just business cards for my lawn life business." Cardinal Lawn Life. And he goes, "Oh, you're starting your own business?" I said, "Yeah, I'm starting my own business." He said, "Oh, okay. I thought you were one of them solar panels." I'm like, "No, no, no, no. I'm not. No, I'm not solar. I'm not. I'm not tech savvy with solar panels or whatever you want to call them. I'm just doing what my hat says and what my shirt says. That's all I'm here for." He said, "Well, I'm glad to hear that because if you were selling something, I wouldn't be interested. But yard work?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay." So I walked his yard and I said, "Well, as of right now, I got an electric push mower and a weed eater and a blower and an edger." He said, "You ain't got no stand on or a riding or anything?" I said, "Nope, just a push mower." "Well, how much would you charge if you were using my equipment?" I said, "Well, for this whole yard and for me to use your equipment and partially mine, uh, 160." He said, "Okay, that's an okay price. I'll keep you in mind." I said, "Okay." So, uh, or in between 120, which means $120. That's in between yards and the other stuff. And when you're running a business, it don't matter who you are or whatever, but when you're running a business, you just want to keep in mind that that's what you got to run and stuff like that. When you're a business owner, that's what you want to run. It don't matter if you're a cowboy or whatever. When you have a business, you want to make sure you're running it the way it needs to be run and ran and stuff like that. You also want to make sure that when you're running your business, that everything is running the way it needs to run. So it don't matter what it is. So and plus when you got a business, you got to do what you got to do, and especially when you're doing what you need to do. Now, you might say, "How do you get paid?" Well, cash only. I don't do Cash App. Okay. I don't do PayPal. And I don't do money orders. I don't trust them. So cash in hand is what I take, and that's what I'm pleased with. From start to finish, your house will look good. But if there's something that I'm not comfortable with doing, then somebody's going to have to come out and help. But most likely, I'm going to be comfortable with doing everything because I'm a land guy, a yard guy, or whatever. And when the guy the yard's going to look good from start to finish, because if somebody's driving by and they're looking out their driver's side window or whatever, they're like, "Oh, I wonder who did their yard. I'm gonna roll my window down. Who did your yard?" They might say, "Oh, it was a young kid, uh, 23 years old, fixing to be 23 or 24, or whatever. He did my yard. He did a wonderful, great. You want his number?" They might say, "Yeah, here's his number," and then they might give me a call. "Oh, hey, you did a wonderful job on this customer's yard. Can we get you to come over here and do ours? Can you estimate it?" "Sure, I'll be over there tomorrow." Next thing you know, I could land another job. You never know. And you also want to be kind. No matter what, if you're on a job or not, you want to wave at people, because that could be your next customer. Whether or not it's a stranger or not, wave at one of another. It'd be your next customer. You just never know. Somebody could stop and be like, "Hey, can you do my yard?" It could be your next customer. And running a business is what you got to do. You got to stay with it and stay on top of it. That's what I'm doing. 16 flyers I handed out today, knocking on doors. And as soon as the sun went down, I stopped. I wasn't going to stay out until 12 o'clock at night knocking on people's doors. So right when it got dark, I called it quits. I told Joseph, "Take me home." So here I am. And I don't get off until 8:30. So, it's the best business here. Cardinal Lawn Life told me they put me on a schedule and have yet to came to do my yard. LOL. So, that's the main thing here. So you got to do what you got to do, and when the maintenance comes, you got to do what you got to do. It, and I'm gonna say Friday, this coming up Friday, I'm probably gonna go and do a yard, which will probably, let me see when my schedule is. For Friday, it's gonna be this Friday. The first day of work is going to be shout out goes to Taya and Jason over there. So we're gonna go and do them Friday, um, if all possible. With a blower, a weed eater, and an edger, that's all you really need when it comes to that. Even though there ain't nothing really growing, but that's a schedule right there. And this Friday, I'm actually doing their yard, and it's it is what it is. Weed eating and edging, and probably picking up some of their branches that me and Chris and Jason did some work with. If I could find some heavy duty garbage bags, I can break them up and put them in a bag, and hopefully garbage waste will come down their road and pick it up or whatever. Or they may have to, whenever this burn ban goes away, burn it. So, and my favorite word is burning it. So it just goes with it. Goes with the flow. So you just got to go with that minimum of a speed. It don't matter who it is or whatever, but you just want to stick with it, and make sure you're going with it and going with that flow. You just got to go with that. It don't matter who you are. And I'm going to tell you a joke about my buddy Jason. He goes, if Cardinal ever comes over here to my yard, I'll tell him to go away. No, he won't. Because I'm doing it not for him, I'm doing it for my sister. So there's a point why Cardinal Lawn Life is doing their yard. And then he wants to sit there, oh, you're taking my yard work away from it. No, I'm not. My sister's the one who actually hired me. So therefore, and it's going to be all right. So therefore, it's going to be all okay. We're just going to do it. And but you got to do what you got to do, and when you do it, it's gonna. You also want to make sure that you ain't doing nothing for free. That's the top of the line there. You want to just make sure you're not doing anything for free. Been there, done that, but I'm not doing it no more for free. Nothing will be for free this coming up. So, summer. So it'll probably be 125, 20. At 120, 100, which means when I say 120, it means $120 dollars, or it could be 130, which is $130. It could be 140, which is $140. You just got to watch out what you're what you're going up with, and your pricing, and if it's a smaller yard, like if you got like a fence, if they got a fence, like it's a HOA or whatever, and they got a small yard with a fence or whatever, you can do $40, 20 for like for everything. Tree cleaning, it can be for everything. It just depends on what you're actually gonna be working with and coping with. But you just got to go with that area. And with that all being said, you just got to watch out with what you might be working with, because with that pricing, you just don't want to go too high. You want to make sure it's perfect and it's right for that one customer, because that one customer is going to be the one that pretty much always pays for you to come. Whether it's like summertime, it's going to be every week. Coming to where everything slows down, it's going to be every 2 weeks. But for summer, it's going to be every week that the yards are going to need to be mowed, weed eated, edged, blown, everything. And I'm going to tell you, you don't want to leave a yard from after you do a yard. You don't want to make sure that you're doing it. You don't want to make sure you're doing a dirty job. You want to make sure you're doing a fine job, meaning you want to make sure after you're done blowing and edging and weed eating, that you blow everything off. You don't want to leave the yard all not looking good. You want it to look good from the time that you get there and the time that you leave. So it's just, and it don't matter what time you get there, whether it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You just, the top of the line is, you don't want to make sure, you just want to make sure you're not doing any work for free. That's the top of the line there. And what I also like to say is, eat and drink lots of water, and eat and drink a lot of lunch, because after and it can get real at times. I've been there and done that, but at a lot of times you're going to be uh, out there, and you can get really, really dehydrated, and pass out. I've been there, done that, had to get some water in me, and then right after that happened, I I went back to work. That's just the main thing there. And I God bless America, because Jesus and God are there watching us while we work. And everybody has got time to work. They ain't got time to sit around doing what they got to do. They have to work for a living. Us kids, we got to get that. Us kids all grow up, it's time to go to work, make some money. It ain't going to be, laying around, sleeping all day, working until afternoon time. You got to stay on top of everything. So it's just the top of the line, top of the food chain. You know what I mean? You don't want to make that the top of the thing is, you want to make sure that you're not working for free, and that you're charging the right amount of money. And I'm done working for free. I'm going to tell you that right now. Every 24 hours that you want to work, is go for it. Us kids, once we grow up, it's time to work. It ain't no more, eating and sleeping and playing video games. It's time to get our butts outside the doors, and going to work. It ain't no more eating and sleeping and lying all the time. That goes for me, but I even know I'm a grown man in my own entrepreneur, with my shirt and a hat going on, and my own boss. You know, it's good. You know, it's all good, because I'm a professional landscaper. It goes with my blood work, fits well, and everything like that. So, just call the number, man. Here's the number right here. There's the number here. It's even on the back of my shirt. Get it out there, buddy. Get it out there. I want to get a wrap for the bike trailer that I got, and I want to get a wrap for my trailer, or for my bike, and go around the neighborhood doing what I got to do. But no more working for free, man. It's just, you got to get on the ball. Get out there, start working. It ain't no more working for free, because you got to make sure that you're putting gas in your equipment, and all that stuff. You want to make sure you're pitching in for the household, everything like that. That's everything that I'm talking about, is something that I'm going to end up doing. Is pitching in for the household, doing what I got to do to keep myself out of trouble. And really, for myself to stay out of trouble, is going to work, man. That's the main top of the food chain there, buddy. Just going to work, making my own business cards, making my money happen. I'm wanting to be the richest person around town, man. That's the main top of the line there, top of the food chain, man. Now I gotta make a phone call right quick. Fixing to dial a phone number, and I'm getting ready to call it right now. Yeah, this is Cardinal on Life. I got you on a schedule for this Friday. You want your work? You want your job done?
No, I don't think we'll need you. Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
What are you doing?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Oh, it was more than 8 horns.
You still watch? You still watching or no? You still watching me live or no?
Yeah, I was. Thank you.
Huh.
That's Jason. I was watching you.
All right.
Where's this movie?
Because now there's 0 people.
Where's the movie? Oh, Bunny.
But yeah, I got you on a schedule for Friday if you need me.
Well, Jason says no, not this one.
All right.
No.
That's it.
Hey.
Well, I gotta take her off of these. It's not this Friday. Main top of the reason and top of the food chain here, you're gonna have people that say no work, no nothing, but it's you got to go with that. You just can't force work. You can't force anything these days. So with the work that you got to do is there. So it don't matter. You got to do it. Get it done. With the business and top of the food chains here, you got to do what you got to do. And with a business hat, you got to do what you got to do because when you're running a business, it's there. Everything is there, no matter what it is, what you're doing with the life or anything like that, or with your life. You got to stay on top of everything because what that says is with the meetings and stuff like that, you got to do it. You got to stay on top of everything because otherwise, if you don't, it's a life changing story. So, stuff like that. So you just got to go with that and top of the food chains here because things are going to start changing whether or not you think so or not. And with long life or Cardinal long life, there's things that you got to know when it comes to working. I don't care who you are. When you start working, that's a business for you. It's a business no matter how you put it. When you put it in, that's a business. When you don't put it in, that's how it gets harder and harder for you. A business is always going to stay a business. You know, you just got to keep track with how much money you're making. That's what I do here, and everything here. So it's business is business, especially not knowing how you're putting stuff. So lawn care, it happens, and you just got to do it the way you think it's going to be done, or however way you think. However way you want it to be done, that's how it's going to get done. So it's going to stay a business no matter how hard you want it to be or how hard you like it to be. So company name is going to stay Cardinal Lawn Life for a long time, running this business. Whether or not I'm doing snow removal or whatever, but here in the state of Florida, it's always going to be cutting and mowing and doing what they got to do. So that's it's a business work. So y'all stay tuned for more Cardinal Lawn Life. This is my uniform. This is who I am. Y'all stay tuned for more. See ya.